Namaste everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the residents and shop owners of the Kalash Udyan community. I am absolutely thrilled to be your host today as we unpack this incredibly important explainer. We're talking about something deeply personal and honestly monumental, the future of your home. Kalash Udyan ka Bhavishya. You know, redeveloping a property is probably one of the biggest milestones a housing society can ever undertake. It's all about upgrading your living standards, maximizing your space, and building a modern, safe environment for your families. But to do it right, you need clarity, you need the facts, and you absolutely have to understand the law. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to break down your options, step by step, using the exact legal frameworks of Maharashtra.
But real quick, before we get into the heavy legal stuff, let's just acknowledge the sheer scale of what we're dealing with here. Kalash Udyan isn't just some small building, right? It's a vibrant community of exactly 370 stakeholders. That's 360 residential members and 10 shop owners. 370 families, businesses, and unique voices. Redevelopment isn't a solo journey, yet a massive collective decision hat. Every single choice made about this property impacts all 370 of Apka's society. Keeping that exact number in mind is so crucial because it's a constant reminder of why following a structured, democratic, and legally sound process isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Redevelopment options. 2. Path 1. Joint development. 3. Path 2. Self-redevelopment. 4. The step-by-step process. 5. What if members disagree? And finally, 6. Making your choice. We've got a lot of fascinating real estate concepts to cover, but don't worry, we're going to keep it crystal clear.
Let's start with Section 1, Redevelopment Options, which is basically all about choosing your path.
So Kalash Udyan currently stands at a pretty major crossroads, and under Maharashtra law, you essentially have two main choices. On one hand, you have a joint development agreement, or JDA, where your society partners up with a developer. You provide the land rights, and the builder brings in the cash, the expertise, and manages the whole construction process. On the other hand, you have self-redevelopment. Now this is the empowering route where the society takes total control. Instead of relying on a builder, you, the residents, actually become the developers. Both are perfectly legal under the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, but they offer wildly different experiences, risks, and rewards. Moving right along to Section 2, Path 1, Joint Development. Let's see how this traditional route actually works.
Taking a look at the perks of a JDA, it's pretty easy to see why it's such a common win-win situation. The real beauty of this model is that the builder pools their resources with your land. So, for the society, zero initial investment is required. You're not blocking your own funds to pay for alternate accommodation while the building is being constructed. The developer actually covers your temporary rent. Plus, you generally get fast-paced development because a professional builder brings in the working capital and already has the teams ready to go. Aapko khud capital invest nahi karna padta, the builder takes on all that financial stress.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer amount of red tape the developer completely takes off your plate. I mean, from ensuring the project meets strict RERA regulatory approvals to managing the absolute maze of GST tax compliance, the developer handles the entire heavy administrative burden. For a massive society of 370 members, outsourcing those regulatory headaches, yeah, that's a pretty huge relief.
But hey, what if you don't want to outsource? What if you want to keep all that value right within your community? That brings us to Section 3, Path 2, Self-redevelopment. Let's define this clearly. Self-redevelopment is exactly what it sounds like, a procedure where you take on the responsibility of redeveloping the property yourselves. And honestly, the best part, the government is actively pushing for this. A specific government resolution from September 2019 was passed to help housing societies in Maharashtra do exactly this. These guidelines give you easier access to loans from cooperative banks and even grant the benefit of Additional Floor Space Index, or FSI. Basically, you get more approved space to build. Sarkar bhi isme aapki madad kar rahi hai, empowering you guys to take charge of your own destiny.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive financial fade, or benefits, of doing it yourself. First off, members actually get higher extra space compared to builder-led projects. Second, any surplus profit created by selling the extra flats, it stays entirely within Kalash Udyan. You don't share a single rupee of it with an outside builder. Third, if existing members want to buy those extra flats, they can literally do so on a cost basis. And above all, during this whole shebang, all the documentation, plans, and property rights stay strictly in the society's name. Total ownership.
Section 4, the step-by-step process. Because whether you pick a JDA or self-redevelopment, there's a strict legal roadmap you have to follow.
Under Section 79A of the MCS Act, things have to happen in a very specific order. It all starts simply enough. Just 1/4 of your members need to submit an application.
Next, you call a special general body meeting, an SGM, to form a committee and, crucially, appoint a project management consultant, or PMC. This professional figures out the feasibility and writes up the draft tenders. Then, the society invites proposals, and you convene another SGM. This is the big one. In the presence of the registrar, you must legally select your developer or project manager with at least a 51% majority consent.
Once you hit that magic 51%, we move to the second half. The society and the chosen developer execute a legally binding agreement. Next, the developer goes out and secures all those complex regulatory approvals we talked about. Once the paperwork is finally cleared, notice is given, everyone temporarily vacates, and the actual construction of the brand new Kalash Udyan begins. And finally, the developer gets the occupation certificate, the OC, and hands over the keys to your new homes and shops.
Oh, and real quick, during this documentation phase, there's a fantastic financial fact you should know about. Thanks to some recent court rulings, when you sign your Permanent Alternate Accommodation Agreement, the PAA that secures your new flat, the stamp duty is now capped at just 500 rupees. The courts got rid of duplicate charges, which is just a massive cost saving for all 370 members.
Okay, Section 5. What if members disagree? Let's address the elephant in the room here.
With 370 unique voices, actually, scratch that. Getting even 5 people to agree on dinner is hard, right? Getting 100% agreement on a massive real estate project is basically impossible. But here's the good news. Under Maharashtra government resolutions, you explicitly only need a 51% majority consent to move forward. Once Kalash Udyan secures that 51% approval, the society is legally cleared to proceed with the entire redevelopment project.
So the crucial point is exactly what the Honorable Bombay High Court has repeatedly said. Minority members cannot obstruct redevelopment approved by the majority. Once that 51% threshold is crossed, dissenting members simply don't have the legal power to unilaterally block the project. The law is super strict on this. In fact, if holdouts refuse to vacate, the courts have actively imposed fines and even authorized forcible evictions. Ultimately, the collective good of the society legally outweighs the objections of a few.
Which brings us to our final section, conclusion, making your choice. We've covered the law, the steps, and the protections. Now, it's over to you.
To summarize your final crossroads, you have to weigh these two realities. Do you go with a joint development agreement, utilizing a builder's capital for a faster, lower-stress experience? Or do you take the bold path of self-redevelopment, putting in the society's collective effort to reap the maximum financial rewards and larger spaces? There's no wrong answer here, guys, just the answer that best fits the vision of your 370 members.
And that leaves us with the million-dollar question. Kalash Udyan, which path will you choose? Aapka faisla kya hoga? The facts are laid out, the legal frameworks are clear, and the future of your property is entirely in your hands. I strongly encourage all 370 of you to get together, discuss these facts openly, and make an informed decision. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I wish Kalash Udyan the absolute best on this incredibly exciting journey.